we will be showing you some of the generative AI use cases which are pretty hot right now. So I mean, majority of this will be live. So I mean, we will show you live, demo for Amazon, Bedrock, Azure AI, and then GCP Garden. Finally, I mean, at the end, we will have a nice, uh, like a game sort of a thing, and then I mean, whoever wins the game, I mean, will win some prizes. So just a high level about us. So my company name is Royal Cyber. We have been in business for about 20 plus years. We are about 1,500 plus people worldwide. We are based locally here in Chicago. This is one of the questions which everybody is currently, asking, that what is a task that I am already doing that can be improved by generative AI. So I basically visit to so many different, companies right now, and I mean, everybody is asking the same question. So I just wanted to go through the room and just get your feedback. Like, have you thought of something like this? Jonathan, maybe if you can give a quick feedback.
Absolutely. The overarching use case is scaling sales enablement, and part of that is for product management to be able to answer questions about the products and capabilities that are coming from sales, marketing, service, and perhaps even customers. So those are things that product managers do today, every day, all day. But the ambition is to have generative AI to be able to complement the human aspect of that work.
Absolutely right. Absolutely, yeah, great.
Yeah, my name is Abhinga. So, as I mentioned, the previous conversation we have used UiPath to build the AI model for account closing. We had around 150 locations across the globe. So it used to be a very tiring job for everyone to do 3 days lockdown for account closing in this year, right? So what we did, we used the program to do the first cut with AI, and then they have to just very short period of time they have to reconcile. That's it. So that way we reduced nearly 500 man hours for account closing.
Wow.
Every quarter.
Okay.
Every month.
Okay.
So it was really a huge deal.
Okay. So I mean, now you want to see that how does generative, basically, AI can solve this further, right? Okay. Awesome. Great. Yeah. Yes, please.
We're using it to have salespeople accelerate their research of companies.
Okay.
So having, research or what we provide services, what other partners provide services to what we're trying to broach the client with. And then the ability, so hundreds of hours of research. There you go. Hundreds of hours of research that can be done in, less than 10, 15 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the ability to also generate questions, interactive questions with clients based on the data of what
they have. That's probably, yeah, absolutely. Amazing. I mean, does somebody else want to share anything which they are watching now? Okay, great. I think we can move forward and then go from there. Okay, so I think, as you know, that I think generative AI is changing all industries, right? So you go from financial, healthcare and manufacturing, right? Everything is being transformed. So when we go and talk to different enterprises, these are the three things. I mean, they say to us that I want to use large language model with my data. I want this data to be completely secure, and I want that data to give right responses. Because if if the chat GPT is giving the wrong responses, then this could really harm my brand. So I think these are the three things they are trying to solve. So let's do a quick thing, right? So I mean, as you know, that large language models are often wrong with answers, but they are very confident. So if I go and ask ChatGPT right now, did Silicon Valley Bank collapse? Right? So the answer will come back. Silicon Valley Bank has not collapsed. It is still operating as successful financial company, right? But I know that Silicon Valley Bank has collapsed, right? Now, if I just change this particular question, so if I instead of asking this, if I change it to why did SVB collapse, so you will see that it is now responding me completely different. It is saying to me that the SVB bank collapsed due to combination of factors which are related to subprime mortgages. But we know that the Silicon Valley Bank did not collapse because of the subprime mortgages. It went down because of high rates, right? So so the problem is that what is the problem is this is called hallucination, right? So it is giving you outdated knowledge. Okay, so this is the number one problem, that how do you fix hallucination? Okay. Now, this is not just with the newer, right, data. Even if I go back to like 2017 or like 2000, 18. So if I ask another question, how many Model 3 vehicles were produced by Tesla in Q1 2018, right? So if I ask this question, it is giving me, according to Tesla Q1, the share, and I mean, it is also letting me know that it got this data from the shareholder letter that it produced 34,494 vehicle. But if you go and look at it, uh, at in the Q1 2018, it just produced only 9,000 vehicles. So why this is giving me wrong data? So this is another problem. So I think maybe model has not seen this data during its training time, but I mean that's not the case, because it is letting me know that it got this data from 2018 shareholder letter. So it knows that how did it find it, right? So so reason number three could be that model has seen some related information before it mixes it up. So I mean, it is somehow mixing it up, right? So it is getting right confused. So before you can use this particular LLM in your enterprise, all of these problems has to be solved, right? Otherwise, you cannot use this. So how do you solve that, right? I mean, that is the number one question right now. So how can we reduce hallucination, and how we can teach LLM new information, right? So this is how it works right now, right? So it basically, you ask a question, that questions becomes a prompt. And I mean, that prompt goes to the LLM, and then you get an answer. And I mean, this is what is happening, that when I ask the question, did Silicon Valley Bank collapse? It is giving me no. So how do we fix this now? So there is a new framework now, which everybody is, I mean, this is something really getting popular right now, which is called retrieval augmentation. And what is retrieval augmentation do is that you get the data from your source. So you are telling the LLM that don't use the data which you are trained on. I will give you the data. Okay, so whatever responses you will generate on the data which I am giving you. So this is called retrieval augmentation. Okay. So now what will happen, that if I ask a question, I will get the right data from my data source, right? And then it will be changed to a prompt and to the LLM, and then you will get the answer. Okay. So I will just, I mean, this is something really critical to, basically, understand. How many people are familiar with RAG before? I mean, basically heard of RAG before. So a few people have heard about it. So RAG has this couple of these components, like, one is retriever, prompt, and, LLM. I will just go through all of these three boxes so you have the proper foundation, because when they will be, talking about AWS, Bedrock and the GCP Garden and the Azure AI, so you will be, you can then follow this properly. Okay. So in the retriever, I mean, like, when you get the data, okay, you have multiple choices. Either you can do uh, keyword search, or you can do semantic search. So you now have to think that let me tell you what does it means. So uh, keyword search, I think, all of us are familiar with, right? So if I just go and, like, type a word called Wild West, right? So if I am using the mechanism called uh, keyword search, it will go to all of my documents and it will find all the pages which has the highest number of words wild and west. Now you can see that this wild and west, I mean, like, the first one, it got the West Virginia, which has nothing to do with my keyword searching right out here, because because the word wild was there, it got the first image, right? And then if you see the second one, the West, right? It has, like, the West out here and wild out here, so it got the image. But when I did that same search using semantic search and I searched using Wild West, I got the right, data, because it, basically understands that Wild West means not, like, it's the thing, and it then got me the right result back. So when you do the RAG and when you do the, retrieval, you, I mean, have a choice that should I go with keyword or should I go with semantic, or should I use both, right? So this is where your data scientist can guide you, right, based on what type of, data you have, right? Either you go with, keyword search or semantic search, or a both hybrid search. Okay, so that was part of the retrieval. Once you have got your company data, right, now you give it to making a prompt. Okay, so the next step in our RAG journey is the prompt. Okay, what is a prompt is, I think a lot of people know, because if I go to LinkedIn now, and there are a lot of jobs available, or, like, people who can write good, good prompts. So if you want to know, like, more about prompts, I mean, like, please go to this website called Prompt, Engineering Guide, or also, Haystack Prompt Hub. I mean, it's a very good tool to, like, make you learn. But so you basically take the question and then you put it in some sort of a prompt, right? So you are, like, telling the large language model that you are an expert journalist. You answer question truthfully based only on provided documents. So you are just basically training the LLM on how to respond to that particular question. Okay, so that is prompt engineering. And I think here are some of the main guidelines. So, I mean, okay, and then finally, I mean, like, there is a large language model. So there are so many large language models now. There is OpenAI, there is Cohere, there is, basically, Anthropic, and there are so many, right? So how will you decide that which one is right one for me, right? Because so one of the ways is, which I do, is that there is a leaderboard available. So if you go to this leaderboard, every day they basically publish, right, that what are the top LLMs there right now. So one of the ways to is to, like, do that. Another way, and then, I mean, there are also a lot of websites available where you can go there, you can select, different LLMs, you can ask the question, and then it will give you the responses back. So based on what you think is the right LLM for you, then you can, it comes to cost. Okay, so this slide, I think everybody asked me question on this. So I took 10 million tokens a month. So sorry, I mean, like, this is misspelled month. So for, 10 million tokens, Llama 2 cost is $530 a month. And the price for GPT 3.5 is about 700, and then GPT 4 goes about 2,000 plus. The token length which it can use is about 4,000. In the newer GPT 4, it is about 8,000 tokens. And then you can do, if you want to do fine tuning of the model, because the Llama 2 is your own, it is free, it is, basically open source model. There is no fine tuning cost out here. But on the other ones, here's the cost. And then data security. And then this Rogue is a metric. So when you do the fine tuning on your LLM, and then then you want to see that, like, before fine tuning, what was my metric was, and then after fine tuning, what is my metric is. Because after fine tuning, you want your model to behave, better. So ROG is a metrics by which you can, do that. Any question, anybody? Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
The cost per learn, is it for hosting?
Hosting. So I think this is the monthly cost, like, if you, host it. And this is about, so there's no, it is a free, right?
Yeah, for GPT, it is the API calls.
API call, yes, yeah.
So here,
Tokens, yes, yeah, it is a hosting cost. So I think these are some of the challenges, like, which we have faced when we made our chat GPT for different, enterprises live. So creating a scalable production ready vector database. So I think this is what I'm talking about is this thing out here. This thing, like, how can I make this for my, company, a production ready vector database?
What would be an example of the data types or repositories for that external?
External, okay, so all of your company, so most of the, companies, like, have the data inside SharePoint.
Yep.
Right, so you have the Word document, you have, PPT emails, right? All of that documents will go in here.
Okay.
And then at the real time, when you ask anything, so just like Google, like, brings you back like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, documents, you basically get those, and then you send it to the LLM. And then you will tell, basically, the large language model, here is the question, and here is the, data. And only ask and only reply to that particular question from this particular data set.
Can it be multiple source? Like example, we use Snowflake for data lake, and we have SharePoint.
Yes.
Multiple sources are there. And point to multiple source, and then it can do a round robin, or it can do a.
It can, yes. And I'm saying,
Sure.
yeah, he will be showing you a live, demo also of that. But that's a very good question. Yeah, that how you can get multiple sources to this, and then not just one time, because you might have new, data coming up next day, and right. So you need a way that new data is also being used. Part of it. So
So basically, you have to bring your different data stores, a central repository, which is a vector store. That's your the bidding slip for all your data. LLM, whenever you're trying to ask a question, it is basically doing a similarity search based on your question and your vector stores and weddings. And then it finds like, okay, these 4 documents, these 4 chunks are relevant. That goes as a context while you're doing RAG. And the LLM is supposed to give answer only from that.
correct.
That's how it goes.
How do you bring different formats together? Does the model consider everything unstructured, so the structure doesn't matter, or unstructured?
So there are 2 approaches. The first one is unstructured. Whenever you have like unstructured data, that's like text, you can always create embeddings and do semantic search on that. But when it comes to structured data, you are going to do some sort of aggregations, right? If it's a Excel file, you want to ask like, what's the average of my sales for this product for this year, right? That's where you bring in agents. So those agents are trained to write such queries on such different, data sources as Snowflake in your case. That's where it runs, understands the schema. From there, it creates the sense that this information should be in these columns and these tables. And that's where it runs the query and brings everything.
Okay, so you have different paths for processing,
Yeah.
structured, unstructured, and then you put them together.
Absolutely. And on top of that, you have to create a layer
Yep.
where you actually create tools like for this information, this is the direction. For this information, this is the direction.
Thank you.
And how do you do, maybe it's a risk of going too deep, the schema, the data model, so you have multiple data stores, right? For this data, you go here. The schema for this is actually, you have to define that as well, right? The schema.
So there are two things. I mean, if you have a small data set, what will do it like describe schema in SQL query? I can simply go and write a describe schema. From there, I'll see like these are the tables, these are the names, there are these columns, these are the data types. Actually, it is getting all your DML or DDL, whatever you're defining while creating all that schema. So from there, it infers, okay, this sales is in the finance table, and this guy is an employees table. That's how I can do something like that. That's how it tries to create a query.
Will you demo or show that?
I think we can I think the demo which we have later on, we can show it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's try if I can.
So I think here are some of the problems, which we have seen. So creating a scalable vector database, okay, that is a problem. And then, iterating on and evaluating the bot to ensure it provides correct answers, right? So we need to make sure that it does not hallucinate, right? So this is a number one problem. And then how do you serve large open source foundation model, right? So if you are running Lambda Q, right, you will need GPUs, right? So how will you get a GPU? So right, all that cost is not there. And then deploying the bot as an scalable API. So if you have like thousands of requests, your bot can basically handle that. And finally, collecting feedback from stakeholders, that when they are asking questions, they are getting the right response back, because when you have so many people asking this bot, how do you make sure that bot is giving the right answer on it?
Short of asking all permutations, all questions, which will be impossible. Would you cover how you iterate and evaluate and correct answers are being provided?
So I think right now there is no out of the box solution for detecting that the bot is giving the right answer or not. So the basically only mechanism everybody is using, everybody from Google, Microsoft, everybody, is the feedback, that the response which is generated, was it good or not good? Yeah, thumbs up, noise from, yeah, that's about it. But we have a tool, which is called Smith. And what this tool does, that you can see what type of responses your chatbot has given yesterday, last week, last month. So you can see all that in the reporting way. Okay, so now I think I will give. We will be now showing how to do the RAG inside Azure AI, and then Bedrock, and then finally GCP RAG. Now, before I do that, how many people went to the Open, AI summit last week? The, OpenAI summit, that was a summit. No, it was San Francisco and all virtually. If somebody knows about that. You saw somewhere, yeah. So OpenAI, made this whole RAG thing very easy now. So, you don't need any vector database. They just drop this bombshell that they made it very easy. I will just show it to you right now, very quickly. So, if you, so are you able to see my screen now? Okay. Let me try to duplicate it. Okay. Can you see now? Okay, perfect. So, if you go to platform.openai.com, okay, and then you go to assistants, okay, and then you click on this create and assistant, okay. So we are basically creating RAG now. RAG, I mean, like whatever I just showed you, right? So you can ask any question, and you are also providing him the files that okay, only respond to these questions from this file, okay, and nothing else. But now you can do it all yourself without deploying any vector database and LLM and prompting and everything. So I can say this is I can give it a AI meetup. Sorry, I can give it a name like I'm making an HR assistant. Okay. And then I am say that you are an HR assistant. You are an HR assistant who provides help in 401k questions. Okay, for my company. Okay. So you are an HR assistant, okay, and then I will use the most latest model, I mean, which is GPT 4.0, and then retrieval. Okay, so remember, I mean, we said that we will use a RAG. So I mean, this is the retrieval now. So I can use RAG, and then I can save this. Okay. And I can, okay, now I need a file. Okay, so I can upload the file out here. So I will use a demo file. So I have a file which has all the 401k policy for a company. Now, if you want to if I want to know that how much does my company contribute to my 401k plan. So one way of doing is that I have to go to this file and figure it out myself. Or what I can do that I can just upload this file in my RAG and I can create an assistant, and the assistant can do it for me. So I will go out here, I will upload this file. Okay, and I save this.
So this is the only function, albeit it's a pretty broad function, but this HR.
There are a lot of things. I mean, yeah, it will just keep on going. I will just go from step one and it will, yeah, there are a lot of things, yeah, besides it. I will just show you the first one now. So you can now test it. So you can go do test and then I can ask the question now, right? How much my company contributes to 401k, right? Now, once I ask this question, right? If I want this chatbot, so see, it is giving me right away. So your company matches a contribution to the 401k up to a maximum of 3% of your contribution. And then it will also show me that which part in the file did it got the, data from, right? So basically exactly where it is from. Okay, now you ask that, okay, besides if I want to call a function or a microservices, right? Basically, APIs, right? Can it call that? So you can also call any function, any APIs. Another thing, what you can do is that if you have the OpenAI Plus version, right? So if I go to my OpenAI Plus version.
I guess my question was start with more like, let's abstract this a little bit higher. So this one is an HR assistant to answer questions about 401k. What if HR assistant to answer anything about HR?
Yeah, you can just have all the files in
All the
there.
files.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. It's in the, I mean, it's in the, open, basically, AI vector database.
Public?
It is, no, private, because I am logged in. So I'm currently in my Royal Cyber account, right? It is my Royal Cyber. Yes, and then, I mean, you have a choice, right? You can either make it, private, public, or, I mean, you can just, you're going to only show this to a few, people within your, company. So, you have a choice in that. Yeah. So this is, okay, so now I think I will give it to Shefali, and then Shefali will, go through the AWS Bedrock demo, and then we can come back on this.
Hi, so I'm Shafali. So I will be walking you through the generative AI capabilities by AWS Bedrock. So what does AWS Bedrock bring? So earlier, when we had to use a large language model, you had to worry about the infrastructure associated with that model. You have to configure it. But with the help of AWS Bedrock, you can call any model that they provide with an API. So it can be a third-party model. It can be their own model. So you don't have to worry about the infrastructure, about configuring anything. Any model that they provide, you can just use an API to get that model into your generative AI application. So these are some of the few examples that Amazon Bedrock provides. So it's a list of Amazon's own models as well as some third-party models like Anthropic Claude, Cohere, Jurassic Ultra, Llama, the popular one here. So you can call any of these models just with an API. So these are the three capabilities that Amazon Bedrock is currently providing. They are continuously adding to it. So like text generation, chat, and image generation. These are the three capabilities. You can add these capabilities to your applications. So I can show you how where it is. So yeah. So now this is the Amazon Bedrock console. You have to create an account and take the access to all the models that you want. So yeah, these are the capabilities that I was talking about: text generation, chatbot, text summarization, personalization. All of these are the NLP capabilities that you can add to your applications. So now let's say you want to see what can these models achieve. So you navigate to the console, and let's say you want to try out some text generation models. So you can pick among all the models that they're providing. Let's say we want to try out AI to One Labs, and we just select the right version. And let's say I want to test this model on its knowledge of, let's say, coffee or anything anyone wants to try. Okay, I'll go with coffee. Just click run and it'll just throw the output. So this is the output. Now let's say you're not satisfied with the answer, you want to explore another model. You can go back here, pick another model, pick the whatever version you want to try. The same question, and sorry. And it shows you a more structured answer. So this is how you can pick the right model as per your expectations. And now let's say you want to add this model to a larger application. You don't have to do anything. You just click on the API request, copy the snippet of code, and just paste it in your application. So it has become that simple now with the help of Bedrock. So on the right side, you see some parameters. These are the parameters to control the randomness of your model. Like you can play around with them, and it will generate different degrees of different kinds of the answers. And whatever parameters you decide, they will be automatically configured in this code. You don't have to manually configure anything. So these are
AWS Bedrock simplifies and abstracts the underlying infrastructure and you can choose and test and choose ultimately the model that you prefer.
Yeah, exactly. You can
and that API, of course, you can change it and reuse that for whatever application.
Whatever larger application you're building, just pick that code and just paste it there. That simple. So yeah. So now these three capabilities, you can use them to either fine tune your models or you can create those RAG applications Max was just talking about. So how you do that, I'll show that in the demo. So let's talk about fine tuning first. So to fine tune, you go again on the Bedrock console. Go again to the navigation page. You click on custom models. You select here fine tuning model. Select the source model you want to fine tune. And then you can, whatever training data you want to use to fine tune. So S3 is the Amazon service to store your data. You just put the right location where your data is stored and just click on fine tune. It'll fine tune your data and it'll store itself in S3. And you also don't have to worry about the security because the training data and the trained model is encrypted and stored in Amazon. Even they themselves don't use it for their purposes. So you don't have to worry about your models or your data being used elsewhere.
Has that been validated? It's one of the concerns in the security. Three things, right? Well, my data is going to be all over the world. That's what they say.
Yeah. That's what
Okay.
But Amazon generally is very reputed for reputed for their safety and services.
GCP.
Yeah, they take this they take their security very seriously. Yeah. So this is about the first application, and second is the retrieval. Yeah.
For your copy query, did you earlier specify what sources of information to use?
No, so that was just testing the model on its own knowledge.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you've not augmented it.
So if you want to use it on your customized data, then you have these two options. Either you fine tune or you take the RAG approach. Fine tuning is generally more expensive and RAG is the more easy solution. So now, just like I showed you fine tuning, I'll show you the RAG approach as well. So again, wait. So for creating a RAG solution on Amazon, you first need to store your data in the S3 bucket, whatever model, whatever data you want to attach to the model. And then Bedrock will create embeddings for that data. And then you can store those embeddings in Amazon's open search vector database. And then you can attach any model that you just chose from the playground to this embeddings. And then you can use Cloud9 EC2 for deployment, and then you can create a Streamlit app or whatever app you want to create out of that. And you can also use CloudWatch for monitoring your developed app. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that Amazon Bedrock gives you end-to-end solution. Like you can store your data till final monitoring of your app. All is done within AWS. So yeah. So I just showed you the S3 console. So this is the S3 where you can store your data. I'll show you an example. So this is Amazon S3. These are buckets where you store your data. They can be in any format. So this is the Bedrock workshop that I've created, and here is all the data that I'm using for creating a RAG. I'm particularly going to use this cosmetics.json to show you a demo. So after storing your data, all these data gets converted into embeddings, and this is where your embeddings get stored. It's called Amazon's Open Search Service. It's their own service to storing your embeddings and vector stores. So here is the vector store that I created for that document. And I'll show you, so I'm going to show you a live example. So let's say I'm a business who is selling a lot of cosmetics, and I have a document that consists of all the details of my products, how to use them, when to use them, who should use them. And I want to create an app where a customer can come and just query that I want a face wash, and then it'll just give you the recommendation products. So I uploaded that data in S3, it converted into embeddings, it stored it in the open search, and now I'm going to create the app in a minute. So the data that you uploaded, it's just indexing them, and there it is, your app. You can just ask them. Just show you all the documents, all the recommendation products. So now after you've created this app, you also want to monitor that how is your business doing? What are people more interested in? How frequent is your app being visited? That also you can do in Amazon itself using CloudWatch. So this is Amazon's own monitoring service, CloudWatch. Here you can create a log, and you can see you will see a spike at this time. Not only you'll see a spike, you can also see the query that what was being asked to the app. You can track that as well. Yeah.
So what's an example of what you fine-tune and how much does it cost to fine-tune on AWS?
So it depends on the model that you're using. So if you want to use a third party, every model has a different cost associated with fine tuning. But generally, if you're so generally most of the enterprises use RAG approach. So RAG is generally more cheaper than fine tuning. Fine tuning is done when you want to expand LLM's capability, not just to text generation, but like let's say I have a LLM who's good at answering questions, but now you want an LLM to identify MCQs and answer the question. So that is when you are changing the capability, enhancing the capability of an LLM, not just augmenting the data. So to enhance the capability, you'll have to fine tune. But if it is only about adding additional data sources, then you use RAG, which is much cheaper than fine tune. Yeah, so it's like enhancing the fine tuning is more about enhancing the capability, whereas RAG is more about enhancing the data.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the cost can vary.
Yeah, fine tuning can be much more costlier than RAG.
Fine tuning can be much more costly, you said?
Yeah. Because you're adding much more computation, it has to train the model again.
Okay,
Like, yeah.
got it.
So I was showing you the like your clicks on your app. So see, right here we see a spike, and you can also see what was being asked. Like whatever we ask, it will be just
I think somebody said that how can I see the reports, right? So I mean out here you can see the reports that what are the questions
yeah, right here.
are basically asking and what type of responses are being
Yeah.
generated. So you have a complete reporting feature available. The methodology. And then you can see that how the large language model is basically generating that response also.
So with this report, one value of this is that you can create a report, see all the questions and answer,
Yeah.
and you can validate whether the answers are correct.
It is right up.
Gotcha.
And you can also identify your most selling products, more interesting products, and then augment your business accordingly.
That's
So this is like the end-to-end solution on AWS itself. You don't have to go anywhere else. So now I would ask Alex to go with Azure AI.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex. I'm going to walk you through the Azure side of generative AI. Shefali was showing the capabilities of AI from Amazon's perspective. Now, this is from Microsoft perspective. We have a small demo end of this presentation, and that is going to show you the capabilities of RAG from Azure side of it. Right. So how many of you guys use Azure day to day? Like most of us, right? So at least for from a SharePoint perspective, or any other services of Azure, most of us use, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit of Azure since most of you are aware of it, and then we can jump into the demo right away. Okay. Similar to Amazon AWS, Azure provides API endpoint which can talk to large language models like GPT-4 or GPT 3.5 or the other ones they provide, and you can communicate in an API way. So you have a question, you talk to the large language models, you send a prompt, you get an answer back from API from the API. Okay. You can access like multiple ways. One is through REST API, and other one is through SDK. And also they have like a AI Studio where you can log in. You don't need to have any experience on SDK or REST APIs. You can simply like create your own assistant or chat platform or anything like that. It also provides access to GPT-4, GPT-3, DALI, and Whisper models. Um, They also provide security to your data. Say, for example, your data, whatever you communicate with OpenAI, it is not being again used to train their models. So that's one of the key concern. Is all the questions I ask and all the data I provide is used to train their models again? Like no, it's your private data, and whatever you do is only on top of your data. So Azure, provides that. By
Are
default.
there LLM that are the same in AWS and Azure?
Yes.
Garden?
Mhm.
Okay.
So you're talking about like again GPT-4, GPT-3. It's all like same LLMs. It's like Azure is providing their own capabilities of how to interact with that LLMs, right? So these are some of the key concepts when you're working on Azure. Like one is prompt and completions. So the endpoint, whatever you communicate with, is called like completions. So you have a question, you create a prompt, you take your prompt and provide it to the OpenAI endpoint, and it is going to convert that question into a completion, and then it's going to get a response back from the large language models. So there is an example over here which is like I have a prompt which is count to 5 in a for loop. That's like a human format, right? So it is going to convert that into a completion in the next line, how it's shown in the next line. It's like a kind of a command, a programming language, which is being like interpreted again back to the LLM, and it is going to get the response back from it. Right, and every sentence, whatever you give as an input, is again like converted into tokens. Tokens can be like if you have like a complex text and you want to break down into like small ones, for example, in this case, like hamburger. So it gets broken up into ham, burr, and bear. Like the smallest possible, word it can make. It's called like a single token. Once you create your model, and then the next step is to deploy your model and make the model available for users, right? And then comes the prompt engineering, like Mas mentioned about like prompt engineering jobs now, right? So what is a prompt engineering? It's like how you are going to communicate with the AI effectively. So you can ask like in a very layman term, or you can give it a role. Say, assume yourself as a project manager. Now, if you are a project manager, how you are going to give me a response? So that's kind of a prompt engineering, right? And Azure also supports like GPT 3.5, GPT-4, text embedding models, ADA. And so a common question is like pricing. What is the pricing model for Azure? Here are like some of the examples of pricing model. So for our purpose, like what we have done for this demo, we have leveraged Azure Search to add some cognitive capabilities to the data, and then on top of the data, we are going to use an LLM to query that information from that using the APIs. So what is a cognitive search? It's like an Azure search where you provide data and you enrich the data with some cognitive skills, and then you use Azure Search API to explore the information in the data. So it's Azure Cognitive Search is a search engine like any indexing data sources. So it's a search engine full of text and vector search. So the data, whatever you provide, it's converted into like embeddings and stored in a vector database. Right? It uses like rich indexing with lexical analysis. Lexical analysis is like nothing but converting your information into like tokens, and then like it adds an AI enrichment to the content. And you can use like vector queries, text search, fuzzy search, autocomplete, geo search, and more. And how do you communicate with this? Like using REST APIs or SDKs. So here is the demo architecture for today. We have like a two demo. One is using a REST application, and other one is using Azure OpenAI Studio, right? Here we created a REST. We created React.js application. We deploy them on Azure servers, and we also have Azure Cognitive Search. We also use Azure OpenAI, right? And we ingest our data. For example, for the demo, we use some PDFs as a data source, and we upload them into Cognitive Search, where the data is converted into embeddings and stored in the Cognitive Search. And then from the UI, you communicate with the required data using this LLM. So you are going to send a request to the server. Server is going to use Azure OpenAI and get some information back and forth from the Cognitive Search. Okay. So this is a small React.js application which we deployed. We created this application and we uploaded some data beforehand, because like to convert a PDF into like embeddings, it really takes some time. So we have uploaded some information. We have like three different types of data. One is data from data called employee handbook from Royal Cyber, and other one is a medical report, and other one is just a bill, like you purchase something from Michael Kors, and we uploaded that bill over there, and we are now going to ask questions from these things. We deploy this application, right? And you see when we upload the PDF, it converted everything into embeddings, and it's stored in this index. So you can see the index here, and you can see all the embeddings being converted. So embeddings is basically some numbers, right? So you can see pretty much the PDF, what it uploaded, and what are the embeddings for that PDF. Now I'm going to ask questions from that PDF. And this is the bill which I upload. This is pretty much a text image where you just took a snapshot of your bill and upload it over here. Right, so I asked like what happens in a performance review. This is pretty much the React.js application what we created. And I just gave like a couple of default questions for you to ask. So you can pick one of them. So one of them was what happens in a performance review. So it says like during a performance review, something happens, right? Where did it pick from? It picked from that this PDF. Okay, and it shows like what was the source for this outcome, and it said like what thought process it went through. So how this conversation happened, like it took a role of a system, and it took the content, and then it pretty much picked the question and started answering for this question. And so I asked like what is the cost. I uploaded a text file and started asking like what is the cost in Michael Kors, and it says like according to the information source, the original price was $558 and it was purchased for $99. Now if I say like so it literally took this image, which is like not even close to readable, and it understood everything, converted everything into embeddings, and it started answering me the questions what I asked. Now I can say like, is it a good price? It says it is difficult to determine if 99 is a good price, but you got a pretty good discount on this one. So Yeah, I did the math as well, right? So it says like, okay, looks like you got a pretty good discount on this one. So this is one of the medical report which we uploaded, and it says like I asked a question saying like what is the glucose level. So we are talking about three different contexts now. One is an employee information, the other one is like a store information. Now we are talking about medical information. So it says like Victor's fasting glucose is something something. Now if I say like is it good, it says like yes. So this information is not available in the PDF whatever we uploaded, but it augmented both the one which is there in the PDF as well as it went to online and picked the information and it matched both of them like perfectly. So this is one way of like if you have a lot of information in PDFs and everything, like you can have your own GPT built on your own data, and this data is not going to be like used by OpenAI or anything for training purposes. And that's what they say. Yeah.
Can I point to my SIM where all my security logs are stored? And then can I derive some dashboards or something?
So
Or some troubleshooting questions. They're just like some troubleshooting questions and it will bring.
yeah. It all depends on like how much data you provide to it. So the more it gets the information, the more you're going to get like a close to correct answers. Yeah. So that is like one way of developing your application custom and deploying your application inside Azure AI. Now there is other way is AI Studio. So you want to say like I don't want to do all this stuff. I just want to upload the PDF and start asking questions. Like Azure provides a way where you can log into this Azure OpenAI Studio and you can say like chat playground and you can add your data. You can upload your data source. And you can if you have like data sources, you can pick any data source. Right now I don't have anything over here, but I created a chat assistant. Yeah, this is pretty much the same what Mars was demoing from OpenAI. This is Azure version of creating your assistant. Now, once you create this assistant, you can deploy this assistant into a web application and you can start using that assistant. So I told the assistant, you are a personal math tutor and you will respond to mathematical questions. You have to write and run a code to answer math questions. If there is nothing, no numerical, no numbers on the question, and it wouldn't respond. If there are no numbers in the input, then return no numbers. And I started asking question like test. It says like no, I don't see any numbers. I said like medicine, no numbers, and then I asked like what is 1 + 1, and it responded to 2. So you can create your own assistant, like you can create multiple assistants this way. Say for example, you want some PDF to be accessible only for like certain group of users. You can create an assistant and upload only that set of PDFs into that assistant so that it can answer questions only within that PDF. It will not go beyond that PDF. And all the metrics and everything, you can log into Azure and you can find the metrics like how Shifali was showing from Amazon AWS. Even in Azure, you can get to the metrics where, what requests were made, was it a success, was it a failure, how many requests were made and everything. So what do you mean by streaming data? So you want to, it depends on the data source, whatever you select. Right? There are like multiple data sources. You can select like there is a limitation to the capabilities as well, right? On the data. So say for example, you want to connect to a SQL, right? You can have a connector to the SQL, get the information from SQL, give it to the LLM, and you can start asking questions from that LLM. Or you can do a PDF, right? And in fact, like for streaming data, maybe like you'll have an API. You can provide an API endpoint, and you can start asking questions from that API endpoint.
So things like whenever you have some data coming from streaming or from batch processing, it's gonna go somewhere, right? It'll be staged somewhere, or maybe in database, maybe in a bucket as a blob, right? So what you need to do is just to connect that blob, that database to a large language model through an agent, and whatever data is over there, it is actually just translating natural language into a query. And that query actually gets executed in that engine under the hood, right? And if it's like your data is there until 11 a.m., it's gonna bring results from there. If it's streaming, it's gonna be like real time, right?
So end of the day, all the data should be in the form of embeddings and be somewhere. Only then you can ask questions to that.
Do you have to create the agent or can you instruct it to create the agent?
So right now, some of the agents are already there. I mean, these from the very common now. If we go to like talk to a CSV, talk to a SQL, talk to Spark, QL, something like that, these things are already there. They're like very specific and I mean in-house created system, then there you might design your own agent. So depends.
So here, these are some of the agents which are already there from the Azure side. And if you want more, then you can create yourself and you can say like what data source it should use. Now let's see the Google version of.
So, I mean, you guys are now expert in drag, right? There have been a lot of questions, and I mean, pretty much you got the answers. So before, I mean, I'm not gonna take you guys again to like creating a chatbot where you give a prompt and start behaving in that particular way. Rather, I'm gonna show you the similar capabilities that this GCP has under its product called Vertex AI. So it's like one unified platform for your every day-to-day AI tasks. It's not only limited to generative AI, but it also covers the traditional machine learning, life cycle. So starting off with Model Garden, again, as you saw, like there are already available models in other platforms. GCP is also offering you these, same kind of models. Palm, which is like built by Google itself, that is already there. Then Llama 2 and all these models are there. It also adds the element of modality. So the generative AI is not only restricted to language tasks or text generation tasks, but it also incorporates, it extends its horizon to vision as well as to videos to speech as well. So over here, if we see like we have this generative AI studio and it gives you options to choose from language, vision, or speech. If you go to language, these are the models. You start prompting over here. I mean, you just give it something like what is GCP about?
So like AWS and Azure, it's text, chat, and image. With GCP, it adds vision, videos.
Exactly.
Data source.
Exactly.
GCP is the only one that's able to.
So Bedrock was introduced like a month ago, if I'm not wrong, right? So they would be adding those capabilities, I'm sure. And Azure have already having collaboration with OpenAI. Computer vision is already there. So they do have computer vision over there. So you see, it generated the response and it even gave you like these are the resources from where I found the information. Cool. Moving on to vision. I want to save anything, and I'll be like rushing through. Over here, I'm going to upload an image. And from this image, I can ask it to generate captions. It's gonna start generating captions. So this exact actually is the image. So it understands what's over there, right? A bunch of houses are stacked on top of each other. You can actually change the parameter to generate like 3 different questions, right? So these are the captions for your images. And when it comes to speech, you can actually write something and it's gonna speak that up. for you, and you can even change like voices from female to male to Spanish, or other languages as well. Or maybe you wanna do speech to text, whatever I'm saying, it's gonna record and then it's gonna write it over there. So for the moment, if I say like I'm giving a demo of generative AI, it should be able to understand that. And if I submit, it actually understood and now it's writing. I'm giving a demo on generative AI. So these capabilities are there. It's giving you out of the box models. Moving ahead a step further, you can see like they already have template galleries, which is actually a pipeline from data ingestion to data transformation to training the models to creating rags and then deploying it into a production environment. If you see like this is a text generation evaluation pipeline, and it actually shows a very nice rag diagram. So this is the model. From there you have batch predictions, from there you have evaluation, and lastly you actually can get reports out of it. So these pipelines are already built in. You just have to create your own runs, and over there if I create run, it's gonna ask me from where I need to get the source data, which you can keep always on GCP's Google Cloud Storage, and in the form of blobs, and then it's gonna use that model to execute the whole pipeline and see these are these are my results, right? So these capabilities are there. Finally, you can always train, do some experiments, and have metadata stored about your data over there, and then deploy it. When you deploy, it's gonna put your model into a model registry. You can do batch predictions, online predictions, which is like real time, or like once in 24 hours. And finally, you have a vector set, just like a vector index in any cloud. So that's pretty much about Vertex AI. Now what I'm gonna show you is a demo which basically is about SharePoint, right? So just like any repository, you have a SharePoint. This is a sample one which we created for the purpose of demo. Over here, you see that you have three different files. So whenever these files are uploaded into your SharePoint, those basically comes to our dashboard. This is a document here dashboard that we created. So you can see like these files are there, their status is ready, different types and like quantity, some kind of analytics on that. And what we are doing over here is summarization. So if today, if I give the whole text to ChatGPT 3.5, it's not gonna summarize it because it has a window of context that is around 4,000 words, if I'm not wrong. But now they have actually increased it to 125, but that comes with cost, right? So over here we are using chunking strategy to summarize a long document, which is, if I show you over here, it's actually a big document, and if I copy paste everything and give it to ChatGPT, it's never going to summarize it. So we are using chunking it, creating topics out of it, and then summarizing it so that it keeps the whole context of whatever is going on in the document. So you can see like these are the main topics out of that. And this basically was the original size. This actually is the reduced summarized size, and you can actually see like whatever is going on in that document. In a gist, right? uh, Next, we have a chatbot over here. If I ask like, what is the retirement plan? Let's say, what is the retirement plan? So I do have a document over here, which is about, HR policy and all that. So it's going to fetch information from there. Once it fetches the information, it's going to tell you these are my sources. From there, actually, I'm bringing the retirement plan is actually referring to this document, and it actually got this information from these. This is the document, this is the chunk, and that's where I am bringing the document. So this basically becomes the context, right? Moving forward, we have the option of semantic search. Just consider like you have 100 of documents on your SharePoint, and you want to know like uh, the page number or maybe the context or maybe that particular text which you want to use into some upcoming presentation, right? So let's say I ask like where I talked about data engineering. And if I search that, it's gonna go through each and every document, and along with the page number, along with the file name, application type, it's gonna say like I found data engineering on page 32 of this particular file. So it actually, semantically searches and brings documents for you. So this is kind of helping you, improving your efficiency when you have like large amount of data and you are running day-to-day presentations. So that is pretty much about our demo. And the modules which are available on GCP, Azure, and AWS related to generative AI. If you guys have any questions, you are welcome. But before that, I wanna challenge you guys with a quiz. If you guys have any questions.